Before we jump into this episode, I want to remind you that while Caitlin and Sophia are dietitians, we're not your dietitians. This means the information shared in the Food Freedom Fertility podcast is intended to entertain, educate, and inform. It is not a substitute for medical care. This information is not intended to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your doctor before making any changes. Welcome to a brand new episode and a brand new season of the Food Freedom Fertility podcast, starring your favorites, your besties, your partners in fertility, Sophia Pavia, that's me, and Caitlin Johnson, that's her. We're both registered dietitian nutritionists who specialize in women's fertility, my specialty being that dreaded 2-week wait and making enough quality progesterone, Caitlin's specialty in getting you to ovulate in the first place if you have PCOS. And we are here today together, which if you were following us in the summer season, we mostly did separate episodes where we were not always in the same room. We were either like interviewing people, just her or just me, or we were covering quick topics, just the two of us. So this is back to our original way of recording where this is going to be about an hour long of an episode. So settle in, get comfortable. We are going to lay it on you about one of the hottest topics right now, something I talk about every day, multiple times a day. Something that has taken the internet by storm. Everybody's talking about it, and that is what we're calling vitamin F, fiber. A very unique nutritional component because it's not a nutrient, yet you need it, and how, why, and when. And we're going to cover all of that for you today. So welcome.
And we just love a healthy alliteration, like season 5.
5,
fertility,
food, freedom,
fiber.
fertility, fiber.
We can't really do life without the word F. So there you go.
Yeah, and many you've heard us hold back probably on this. I don't think
vitamin F is not a 4-letter word.
My vitamin F is maybe a little bit different depending on who I'm talking to. But we're talking about fiber today. Fiber is the topic because this is like such a hot topic. And it's so funny because fiber is always considered like, I don't know. I felt like it, like old people are talking about it with their like Raisin Bran and stuff.
Or their Metamucil.
Their like, Metamucil,
it's bright orange or covered in sugar with raisins.
Yes.
Speaking of Raisin Bran, we didn't really have that growing up, but my grandma always had it. And I can like distinctly remember eating it at her house and then immediately needing to go poop. Immediately.
Raisin Bran is delicious. I actually woke up in the middle of the night the other day really wanting to eat a bowl of Raisin Bran of all things. It was the middle of the night and I was dying for a cold bowl of cereal, but not just any cereal. It needed to be Raisin Bran because my parents would buy that when I was younger because they didn't. It's the 90s. Like nobody knew anything about nutrition. It was like, hey, just have something fat free. And that's when all of those like cereal ads were out. That this was like the most healthiest thing you could be eating was kids need cereal. That's a part of like the healthiest kid you could have is they're eating cereal, which now is laughable. But
I know
back then we thought it was like the height of health. And yeah, anyway, ad for Raisin Bran. Do you want to sponsor us? You're delicious. Okay. Post Kellogg's. I'm not sure who makes you, but you're very yummy. General Mills, maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah, they're probably all owned by the same person. We're probably going to find out because at the end of this week, Sophia and I are meeting in Nashville for the Food and Nutrition Expo. It's a conference for dietitians, and I'm sure whoever makes Raisin Bran is going to be there. Which, by the way, this makes me think of something, Soph. We're going to release this next week, so you all will hear this in real time. But when you asked me yesterday, should you bring a carry-on or a bigger suitcase, I think you should bring a bigger thing because it's going to be a huge expo and there's probably going to be samples galore.
Free Raisin Bran.
So,
you're right. And I'm going to. And you know what? Let me tell you, I'm not exactly a size 2 these days. And so my clothes take up a little bit more space.
Yes. And that's just fine.
That's the goal, isn't it? Nobody on this podcast wants to be a size 2. We
No.
all want to be wearing pregnancy pants. Isn't that your
Mhm.
dream?
Yes.
Big stretchy waistband, swinging huge gut, knocking into things.
But
That's what we all want.
we don't want a huge waistband because we're super bloated because we ate the wrong kind of fiber. So
Or in the wrong amounts at the wrong times. That's true. So we'll give you a fiber education here today, ladies. Vitamin F coming at you hot.
So, what is fiber? What kind of foods can you get fiber in? Are there different kinds of fiber? I know you're just dying to find out the answers to these questions.
They've been keeping you up at night, wondering, questioning,
Mm,
searching the
mhm.
globe for answers. No, but really, fiber isn't that sexy. It's not going to be this like amazing thing, but human beings are made to eat a lot of it. That's just the way
Mhm.
our digestive system is designed, the length of our intestines, the pH of our stomachs, even the shape of our teeth. We're made to eat a lot of fibrous foods. And, depending on who you've been listening to, you might not believe that. Some people want to tell you that you're made to eat only meat and that fruits and vegetables and grains and beans and such are full of inflammatory poisons. And other people want to tell you the other way around. You're meant to eat only fibrous foods and that meat and eggs and cheese and such is full of inflammatory poisons. And both
Yeah,
people are wrong. Go
right.
look in the mirror, look at your teeth. Your front teeth are made for tearing meat off the bone, and your back teeth are made for chewing fibrous fruits, vegetables, nuts, beans, and seeds. And so I'm sorry, this is your biology. Some people maybe have problems with their biology, like a fiber rich diet can actually be harmful for some. If you're somebody with inflammatory bowel disease, if you are somebody that has had multiple colon surgeries, if you're somebody that is sick and dealing with issues, that this advice may not be the greatest for you. We're talking to just the average gal who's looking to have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. That's who this message is for.
What is fiber? Fiber is a type of carbohydrate. It's something that our bodies as humans cannot fully digest. Like there are pieces of plants that like you see come out the other end of you. Some people
Hmm.
that's corn, right? Like you didn't chew your corn very well and you're getting big old full pieces of corn coming out in your poo-poos. Fiber is just a type of carbohydrate. It's a form of carbohydrate that your body struggles to break down all the pieces of, and it adds bulk to your stool. It can do special things in your digestive tract. It feeds certain types of gut bacteria, and it's really important for most humans. So, we're going to kind of break apart in explanation two different kinds of fiber. One is called soluble, the other is called insoluble, and give you some examples of foods that are in both of these categories. When Sophia and I were in school, we had to learn like the difference of what these were and name foods in these categories. And then, like, you get into the real world and you're actually working with people, and these things don't matter so much, but I, they matter. But you don't need to like look at your diet and go, okay, I ate 4 soluble fiber rich foods today and 3 insoluble, and there's an imbalance or something like that. You're just naturally going to eat both kinds of these if you eat a wide variety of fruits and vegetables and whole grains and nuts, seeds, legumes. But soluble and insoluble kind of have different jobs in our body. And so to describe them, I think kind of helps us break apart some of those different jobs and is a logical way to discuss them. So, what would you say, Sophia, is the difference between soluble and insoluble fiber?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Okay. So, soluble, when I think about soluble fiber, I think about putting something into water and it really changes shape.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is honestly what I was thinking. Is it's like when I think of soluble fiber, I almost think of it as sort of like a sponge that
Hmm.
it's going to like soak up the water. A great example is if you have ever made like a chia seed pudding,
Exactly.
and if you put chia seeds in water for the first 90 seconds that they're in the water, they're just sort of floating in there. But after a couple minutes, they start to form like a gel.
Mm-hmm.
And
They
yeah, that
swell.
is honestly what comes to mind
They
when I think of soluble fiber. I just thought that was going to be a dumb answer, so I didn't want to say
No, you're right.
it.
It's like literally the characteristic that differentiates the two.
Don't cut that other part out then. I didn't sound as dumb as I thought.
No, you knew the answer. It just maybe it seemed too simple. One dissolves in water and one kind of just hangs out in water and doesn't change shape. So think of like throwing a pecan in water. You don't see it like change very much shape, but a chia seed or an oat, for instance, I
Mm-hmm.
made oatmeal this morning for my son. When you put it in water, it became almost like this creamy texture as it was cooking. So that's important because think about if you only ate soluble fiber. You're going to see it absorb a lot of water and it's going to create bulk in a different way than if you eat a lot of foods that don't have soluble fibers. They have a tendency to like just come out in a similar form as they went in if they're not chewed well.
Yeah, think
Okay.
of if you put a carrot in water. What would the carrot do? It would just be wet. It wouldn't really change
Doesn't change
its
shape very
shape or
much.
form or anything
Mhm.
like that. That's like the kind of insoluble fiber. So when you're thinking about something that doesn't really change shape and stays pretty intact, and maybe you've seen come out the other end, like, you
Mhm.
didn't chew a carrot very well. And so it comes out looking very similar in on the other end, that is more likely to be higher in the insoluble fiber than the soluble.
And they're both great and they both have purposes. Think about if you can like picture a whole grain, there's a husk on it on the outside that it's good that it doesn't absorb water. It like kind of
Mm-hmm.
protects the grain until the grain is processed or chewed by like a animal and eaten and then you can access the carbohydrate that's on the inside. But that husk of it in a whole grain then goes on to actually have a purpose in your digestive tract to add bulk to your stool and keep things moving along in your digestive tract. So there's kind of two different kinds. And don't just think of chia seeds and like a
Carrots.
carrot. Yeah, think of apples and sweet potatoes and beans and lentils and nuts and broccoli. There's tons of different kinds of fiber that honestly getting a wide variety of is super helpful. And so eating lots of different kinds of whole foods that are plant-based is where you're going to get your fiber. What
Mm-hmm.
foods are we not going to get fiber from?
You are not going to get fiber from meat. You're not going to get fiber really from dairy. Like there's a few kinds of indigestible carbohydrate in some dairy products, but it's in a low amount and not substantial enough to really count. So eating dairy, eggs, meat, those are really where you're not going to be getting any fiber. And
Mhm.
then the other things is foods where the fiber has been deliberately stripped away. So, corn, for instance, has fiber. Corn oil, it has been deliberately stripped away. This is
Mhm.
now no longer a fiber source, it's just fat. Corn, yes. Corn starch, it's just the starch. The fiber has been deliberately stripped away. So, any food that's been processed to strip away the fiber is not going to be a fiber source. So, this is like white flour, your starches, oils, you're not going to find fiber in those things. So if you're getting like even if it is, plant-based, a vegan brownie, and it's made out of cornstarch, white flour, soy oil, and sugar, all the things that have been deliberately removed from the fiber, even though this is a plant-based brownie, you're not going to be getting fiber from this.
Mhm.
So it needs to be kind of the whole food, not something that's been processed. We're not saying don't eat these things. Like, for the love of God, I cook with cornstarch and sugar and oil and things like you need to avoid these foods. They're just not going to be a fiber source anymore because the processing of the original plant it came from, they've deliberately stripped the fiber away in order to make the product you see in front of you now.
Mhm. And I mean, you brought this up at the beginning, so fiber is a super hot topic right now. I mean, I feel like a hot topic in the sense that a lot of people are really recommending it.
Hmm.
Especially, I don't know if this is my feed because I'm maybe becoming perimenopausal, but I feel like in that
Dude,
40-ish
totally.
range, it's like
Yes.
this new thing where it's like 100 something, 30 something, and like, you don't know what it is. Check out my caption to see. And it's like, they're just telling you to eat 100 grams of protein and 30 plus grams of fiber. It's like not that confusing, but
It's
there's,
not that confusing, but it's just really everything has like had its hot moment at one point or
Mhm,
another.
mhm,
Keto had its hot moment, vegan had its hot moment, vitamin D had its hot moment, magnesium had
mhm,
its hot moment, probiotics had their hot moment. You know, we all have a time when we think a certain nutrient or whatever is like the key to
yeah.
everlasting youth and health. And right now, protein and fiber are having their moment.
And for good reason. Like,
Amen. This is
if you,
just how humans were made to be eating. We're made to be eating meat off the bone and lots of plants. What do
mhm,
you get when you put those two things together? Protein and
130.
fiber.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just the way we were designed to be eating. And
Mhm,
it kind of fell by the wayside because it was like, well, for a long time, it was like, well, fat is the enemy. And so it doesn't really matter what else you're doing as long as you're not consuming much fat or cholesterol. Your waistline will stay trim, your weight will stay down, your heart will stay healthy. And then
mhm,
that sort of flipped, and it was like, no, you need to be having lots of quality fats because vitamin D and K2 and like they're so important. Put a stick of butter in your coffee, eat a side of bacon with 5 egg yolks for your breakfast. And then it kind of became, we're like, that was having the whole moment, and that
mhm,
was really popular. And I personally think this protein fiber conversation is bringing us to a place of more balance because, yes, there's always going to be opportunistic companies that are like, oh, well, you have to drink my protein powder and you need my fiber supplement. And, like,
mhm,
this is the key. But in reality, protein and fiber are so accessible in such a wide variety of different foods that this is kind of, I feel like, bringing quality fertility and nutrition to the masses. Like that
mhm.
anyone can do this. Anyone can do this.
We are taking a break from the episode, and I want to chat with you a little bit about Fertility Cloud. If you've been told you need help ovulating, or you have PCOS and you're trying to figure out your next fertility step, I want to tell you about Fertility Cloud. They make fertility care simple, transparent, and affordable, especially when it comes to ovulation stimulation and ovulation induction treatments. Instead of waiting for months to see a fertility specialist or getting hit with surprise bills, Fertility Cloud lists every price clearly right on their website. You'll see exactly what you're getting into and exactly what it costs. No hidden clinic fees, no surprise invoices later. For my PCOS clients, this is huge. Their ovulation stimulation program can help jumpstart ovulation safely at home with physician guidance and medications delivered directly to you. You can do it all virtually, no driving to clinics or sitting in waiting rooms, and you can often even get appointments same day. If you're wondering, how do we do ultrasounds or what about lab draws? Don't worry, their concierge service helps determine where you can do that locally to you and coordinates with you on your behalf. It's just amazing. And here's the best part, if you're ready to take that next step, you can click the link in our show notes and get $50 off your first appointment. That means you get right in front of a fertility specialist for $115. That first visit gets you matched with a fertility doctor who actually understands your needs, and you'll walk away with a clear plan for your next cycle. So head to the link in our show notes, book your appointment, save $50 on your first Fertility Cloud visit because fertility care should be transparent, affordable, and built for you. So if you like are confused at all, if Sophia and I think you should be on the vitamin F train, like yes. fibers. We
We
like
do.
the fibers. We want
We
you
are
to
pro
eat the
fiber.
fiber.
In fact, truly, when I'm making like macro recommendations for people, when I'm saying, okay, eat this much calories, this much protein, usually it's like I will tell somebody how many grams of fiber to be eating a day before I'll even
Fat.
recommend
Oh,
an
yeah.
amount. Oh, yeah. Or even of calories.
Calorie. Yeah, for sure.
I'll be like, I don't really care. I usually give people like a basement where I'm like, don't
Mhm.
go below 1800.
Mhm.
Okay. But we need to be getting 120 grams of protein and 25 grams of fiber. Sometimes I'll say 30, sometimes I'll say 35, depending on what the gal's got going on and where she's at.
Mhm.
But generally speaking, like we're landing in that between 25 and 35 grams and between 120 and 150 grams of protein for who I'm talking to. And I will hit those hard markers before I say this many carbs, this many calories, this much fat. I don't care really
Mhm.
about those other
Well,
things.
honestly, if you hit those things, you're generally not overeating carbohydrates because you spent a lot of time chewing your food and you're not that hungry. Like, you're not going for a butter croissant that's going to be really low in fiber and high in carbs because you have to hit like 5 or 7 grams of fiber at your breakfast if you're going to hit this goal in a
Mhm.
day without relying on some sort of food that has a crazy high amount of fiber for what it is
Mhm.
or a fiber supplement. And as much as possible, we're going to try and get you there with real food and not relying on a supplement.
And the reason for that, listener, is not because we're anti-fiber supplement. It's because we're pro food and we're pro actual nutrition. Like drinking a glass of Metamucil, that will psyllium husk essentially is what
Mhm.
Metamucil is, with just like flavorings and
Flavor and
sweeteners in it.
sugar. Mhm.
So I'm not against that. And in fact, there are times I actually recommend fiber
Something like that?
supplements sort of similar to that to
Mhm.
people. But all that is a fiber supplement. You're not also getting the antioxidants, the water soluble vitamins, the polyphenols. Like you're not getting all of that. Like if you were to eat 5 grams of fiber worth of like berries and vegetables, you're getting a ton of actual nutrition versus 5 grams of fiber of psyllium husk, which is nothing to shake a stick at. It is still fiber that your body needs, but we're not getting all of the additional benefits that you would have gotten if you were having strawberries and kale, for
Mhm.
instance.
Mhm. Yeah. So let's talk about the different benefits of fiber. Maybe we
Yeah,
can.
what want to know what it does.
Yeah.
So, fiber is it does a lot of different things, functions within our bodies that basically kind of boil down to really one main action. What that action does for a body is like many different things, but the main action of fiber is it actually slows down the rate at which your stomach empties, and then it slows down the rate at which food moves through your small intestine. This is a good thing for most people because this is where a lot of old remnants of hormones can get absorbed and trapped into that fiber. This is where old cholesterol and things that your liver is trying to get rid of, that is what gets trapped in that fiber. It helps your body kind of clean out the old dead cells, the nasty toxic bits from just the fumes you inhaled at the nail salon and went on your lovely walk and 5 different buses drove by and you breathed in their exhaust and just all the functions of daily life. Your liver and internal organs have to get rid of that somehow,
Mhm.
and having fiber in your intestines helps to trap that and carry it through. So
Mhm.
that's the main action of fiber, is kind of slowing things down and absorbing things. But then what that does for us, like blood sugar balance, hormone balance, like there's so many benefits to that, but that's the main action of fiber.
Mhm. And this is like a really, really important thing. Think about if you couldn't get extra cholesterol out, or you couldn't get extra hormones out, or you couldn't get extra toxins out, or even just byproducts of your metabolism to break apart food. Like you're it's just a ticking time bomb if we just
Mhm.
let those things continue to build up, build up, build up. It's gonna manifest maybe in different ways with your genetics or like the things that you are good or bad at
Mm-hmm.
personally within your body, but without a good amount of fiber, we're just going to do all of those things less well. And why do it less well? Especially you who's listening to this podcast that is trying to get your body in tip-top shape to be pregnant or improve something that's standing in your way right now of getting pregnant. We want to give you a fighting chance at that. And so maybe let's start with blood sugar.
Okay.
Fiber is really helpful for blood sugar. And it's part of like this first bit that Sophia just talked about is it slows down how fast the contents of your stomach go into your small intestine. So that's just a fancy way of saying what you eat takes longer to kind of move through your digestive tract and get access to the enzymes that break them apart in the area of your digestive tract that absorbs calories. So if we're slowing down that process, we allow your body to do that, A, hopefully more optimally, and
Mm-hmm.
B, over a period of time that doesn't make a huge spike in your blood sugar. So let's maybe give an example of a food that would be high in fiber that would
Mm-hmm.
slow down this stomach emptying, and a food or food pairing that's low in fiber and that would move through the stomach really fast so that we can kind of see
Okay.
what that would look like in terms of blood sugar change.
The first thing that comes to mind for me is like fruit juice.
Mhm.
So, how long would it take you to eat 5 oranges? And how full would you be after eating 5 oranges? Like
Mhm.
it would, if you had to peel and eat, chew and swallow 5 whole oranges. I mean, I think even if we set a timer, it would probably take you like 20 minutes or more
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
eat 5 oranges. And then your body has to digest, move through all that bulk and fiber of those 5 oranges and move that into your small intestine.
Mhm.
Versus if I juiced 5 oranges, which essentially means I remove the fiber from the juice, we separate the two, you could slug down the juice of 5 oranges in 5 seconds.
Seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. And then once it hits your stomach, it can get absorbed right into your intestines right away. So
Mhm.
all of the sugar in that orange hits your bloodstream immediately versus if you were to take the time to chew and eat not only that portion but then the time it takes for all of that bulk and fiber to move through your stomach and move into your intestines and move through your it's not just the second it hits your intestine either when it comes to these high fiber foods. You have many feet of small intestine that does all this absorbing, and it's absorbing all along the way versus
Mhm.
if you don't have any bulk to it, it just hits your bloodstream immediately. So
Mhm.
that's a big difference in how a food would spike your blood sugar, high fiber versus low fiber version of the same thing.
Mhm. Yeah, another like the kind of the opposite that comes to mind is like if you were going to eat an avocado. Avocados are super high in fiber. You could chew and eat half of an avocado pretty quickly,
Oh,
but
yeah.
your body is going to take a lot of time with a food like that to break it apart in your stomach, like the first, really the second steps of digestion. Hopefully chewing is actually happening, and we would call that the first steps, and kind of the mixing in your saliva. But you also have a food that has other benefits like fat in it that's going to slow down how your stomach empties. And then the impact on your blood sugar is going to be much smaller because it's going to take time. It's maybe not a fair, complete comparison because it's just not as high in carbohydrate and
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
a lot higher in fiber. But, like, that's kind of the point too, right? Like,
Hmm.
the ability to eat 5 oranges even like, a lot of us could even still do that, right? But you probably wouldn't. You probably
Hmm.
wouldn't sit down and say, "I'm gonna eat 5 oranges."
Maybe 5 little cutie clementines, but not
Right.
like 5 navel
Florida,
oranges.
yeah. So, okay, so blood sugar, the ability to slow down how your stomach works with like the mechanical mixing and breaking apart food and how it gets dropped into your small intestine for further digestion and absorption. That's one piece of the story. One of the other benefits to fiber, when we're talking about what Sophia was just talking about, is its ability to help us clear things.
Hmm.
So, especially in that kind of upper part of the small intestine, if you're thinking about fiber, your body kind of repackages things and slips it into the small intestines for it to hopefully grab a hold of this fiber. So if you mentioned cholesterol, you mentioned hormones. Do you want to pick one of those you can talk about and one that I'll talk about?
Sure, I'll do cholesterol since you
Okay.
just said that first. So, your body, when it is fully intact, has a liver and then a gallbladder attached to this. And the gallbladder is sort of the bridge between your liver and your intestine. And your liver is the most fascinating organ. It does so many things. Uh, you often think about liver. What do you think about? Like alcohol processing, right? That's what
Mhm.
everybody talks about.
Mhm.
And that's very accurate. Even when you're not drinking alcohol, even when you live a very toxin free life, we live in a world now that just has toxins in it, whether or not
Mhm.
you're even deliberately exposing yourself to them. Just like I said, you could be going on this gorgeous sunset walk and buses are driving by and people are spraying their lawns, and you're walking past somebody whose dryer vent is on, and the smell of absolute death and destruction is filling your nose holes. If you wonder how I feel about the scent of fabric softener and dryer sheets. That's been one of my biggest aversions is pregnancy, guys. Like I would rather smell like a rotting fish than somebody's like
It's so
dryer
funny.
sheets.
I feel like when I was
So
in my
bad.
early 20s, it was like, don't wear perfume. It gives people in church headaches. And now I'm so sensitive. I'm like, don't use fabric softener.
Yeah, please don't. Oh my gosh, my daughter had her birthday party this weekend and wonderful people showed up wearing perfume and hugged me and hugged her. And the smell was
Hung on you for hours.
unimaginable.
I
Yeah,
know.
even after baths and changing clothes and
Mhm.
like it's still there. But anyway, I digress. Even if you have been listening to this podcast for 4 years and you're like I would never put a bounce dryer sheet in with my clothes. Other people do. And then they vent their laundry into the neighborhood and you have no choice but to inhale it. So that is what your liver is working on at all times, is clearing these things out. And
Mhm.
really, your liver is connected to your bloodstream, but in a way where it is circulating back through, and like it's the good things leaving your liver going into your bloodstream, like the not the other way around. It's not like it's dumping its toxins into your bloodstream. It's kind of like the bloodstream goes to the liver and the liver's supposed to filter things out. So the
Mhm.
way that the liver can get rid of things is through your cholesterol bile, which goes into your gallbladder. And when you eat fat or cholesterol, it triggers your gallbladder and your liver to release that bile to help you digest those fats. And what goes along with it are all the things your liver has been trying to get rid of.
Mhm.
So the toxic load, the leftover junk of any kind, along with all of that, any extra cholesterol that you've eaten is going to go into that gallbladder and then squish out into the intestine as bile. And fiber, hopefully, is there in the intestine to capture that bile and carry it out in your poop.
Mhm.
Out goes excess cholesterol, out goes toxic things that your liver is struggling to get rid of. And
Mhm.
so if you have this happen, like let's say you eat a donut instead of that avocado,
Mhm.
so you have a lot of fat hitting your digestive system because donuts are fried in oil, triggers that release of your gallbladder. Well, there's really no fiber in a donut. It's made of the most refined pastry flour, which is why it is just so delicious. um, and so there's no fiber there to soak this up. Your body will reabsorb everything that was in that gallbladder. We want the fiber there to help capture the cholesterol and the other ickies that your body is trying to get rid of.
You know what I was just thinking about is when we were in Colorado this last time and we went to the park and we're like, let's go get donuts. And then we went on the donut hunt of our
Oh my
lives.
gosh, yeah, we couldn't find any.
Well, we found some and I was like, those donuts don't work. And you're like, that would have worked for us. No,
It would have.
Caitlin drug us 5 different places. And then we ended up at a great place.
Well, to be my children are happy with like any potential treat you could give them. Caitlin's children are older and are much more particular about their treats, and so it would have been not as fun for them if we had stayed at the place that just had like one little
One
treat.
kind of donut. Well, the other thing was the place we went to last time had that fabulous donut place you took them to, and they got to choose their donuts. And this was
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh, that place was so cute too, and they all sat together. Yeah, we sort of
oh,
had like a specific vision of what we were
yeah,
hoping this would turn into.
yeah.
Oh, I
Anyway,
forgot about that. That
donuts.
was cute. Yeah, that was donut run gone right and gone wrong. But we eventually got some pastry treats. And it worked out because the second place we went to had like steaks
Oh,
and
yeah. Remember
other
that pork?
groceries to bring
Oh, shout
home.
out Ellen to the pork.
Delicious.
Was it pork? No, lamb chops. We had lamb
Lamb
chops.
chops.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
I'm just
so
racking my
good.
brain. I'm like, I do not remember a pork. But the lamb chops, yeah. So it all worked out. But we did go on like a crazy donut run. But to bring it all back, this is how your body is kind of cleaning up excess cholesterol, which hopefully you're eating quite a bit of, my gal,
Mhm.
because
My
cholesterol gets
guy,
a
my
bad rap.
gal.
My gal, yeah. Are you a guy listening to this? I'm surprised. But welcome, but also why? Um, no, really. But the point being, when there isn't fiber in your digestive system, your body cannot get rid of what it needs to.
Mhm.
And that's a big job of fiber. It's not just helping you take a sizable dump, it's that you're getting all of the yuckies that your liver is trying to free itself from so it can do the job of making important hormones, um, keeping everything clean and functioning, being the main organ of nutrient metabolism. Like there's a lot of things that your liver's up to. You want her to be a swift flowing river, not a porta potty.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you don't eat enough fiber. It's like everything just kind of sits and festers.
Sits and festers and can get reabsorbed. So, the other thing that fiber does is it kind of traps some of these items. So, soluble fiber is really good at grabbing and kind of absorbing pieces of the cholesterol so that the cholesterol can't get out and then touch tissue within your GI tract and get reabsorbed. Um, so let's talk about hormones. In that same way that the liver processes things like cholesterol and metabolites and toxins, it also processes estrogen and then it packages it up to be excreted through the bile and into your intestines. So if you're struggling with constipation, and you don't have fiber to grab a hold of the estrogen, and then stuff just kind of sits because it's not grabbing on to bulk, or you don't have enough what we would call insoluble fiber that's kind of giving your stool bulk and weight to move these digestive byproducts out, you're going to struggle with having a lot of extra estrogen not getting excreted, but getting reabsorbed into your body. And we want clearance when we need it. There is a rhythm to your estrogen levels in your body. And we want to rely on your ovaries to help produce a lot of that estrogen so that your body can respond with LH so that you can ovulate. And when we make a lot of estrogen and it gets tagged and sent into the digestive tract and then reabsorbed, we're messing with kind of this symphony and cadence that your body has for estrogen. We want to let it touch the fiber, get trapped in the fiber, and get taken out in your stool.
And I know what you're thinking listening to this. My estrogen is low. My lining is thin. I don't make enough estrogen. So, should I not be eating fiber? No, no, no. That's not the message here.
Mhm.
Because estrogen metabolism can make estrogen. There's like three different forms of estrogen. Some is more metabolized than the other. Basically, what can be happening is your estrogen can be getting stuck in some less potent forms and then continually circulating. So that can be just as bad. So if you have a lot of mostly metabolized estrogen like E3, which is a very weaker estrogen, and that's just sort of floating around, bogging up the system because you're not eating enough fiber and you're not getting everything out, this can thin the lining.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing if you are not converting E1 to E2, which is the potent form, this can hang out and thin your lining as well. So even if you are in the I'm trying to get enough estrogen going camp, this is
Mm-hmm.
still important for you.
Well, and some of those people are having a trouble making enough estrogen because they're having a trouble eating enough. And to you, I say you need to eat more. And when you eat more, you will likely be eating a little bit more fiber too, which will be helpful for you.
Mhm.
But there's other reasons. The other hormone that eating fiber kind of indirectly improves is androgen levels. So there's a handful of good studies on something called the free androgen index. So that's the type of androgens, the male hormones that float around your system that are free and able to go and impact the different organs they can signal to. And we want that level, at least in the women that I'm typically treating with PCOS, to be lower. So the total testosterone, we want less of it floating around as free testosterone. And those that eat higher levels of fiber, particularly whole food fiber versus fiber supplementation, tend to have lower free androgen indexes, which that's like a really big mouthful. Essentially, higher whole food amounts of fiber equals less androgenic actions and symptoms within the body, which can actually improve ovulation. So it makes sense. Kind of the it's not that it's like grabbing so much of the androgens and excreting them, as much as it's balancing your blood sugar, impacting insulin resistance, lowering testosterone production, and therefore lowering the free androgen index. But it has really beneficial impacts on hormones, period, end of the story. And that's not just sex hormones. It helps with insulin levels too, which is a hormone that has huge impacts on fertility. We're going to take a break from this episode to hear about one of our sponsors. You've probably heard me say this before, but preparing your body for pregnancy is not just about you. It's about both of you. Fertility is truly a team effort, and that's why I love the Fullwell Fertility Trio for Two. Fullwell was founded by a fellow registered dietitian and fertility expert, Ayla Barmer, and this bundle was designed to support both partners in the months leading up to conception. It combines their top rated prenatal vitamin, omega 3 fish oil, and a fertility booster supplement that covers things like CoQ10, N-acetylcysteine, alpha lipoic acid, and organic ashwagandha root extract. The nutrients here support overall egg quality, sperm health, fertility, and even your stress resilience. If your partner's semen analysis looks normal, or if it's suboptimal and we need to improve things, nutrition plays a key role for things like sperm motility, count, and DNA quality. For women, these same nutrients help with ovulation, egg development, and healthy hormone balance, not to mention mitochondrial support, which is a huge piece of how your gametes mature and get ready to be that queen egg or that king sperm that make it to combining to form an embryo. These things are foundational for a strong, healthy pregnancy. I personally love that Fullwell's formulas are third-party tested, they're evidence-based, and made with doses that actually match what the research shows we need. No fluff, no underdosing. So if you're planning to start trying this winter or sometime in 2026, or you've been trying to conceive for a while, it's time to think about starting to nourish your bodies for what's ahead, or take a step up from your current protocol to one that is high quality. Head to fullwellfertility.com and use the code FFF20 for 20% off your order. That's FFF20 at checkout. I'll drop the link in the show notes for this specific fertility trio bundle and for Fullwell, along with this code FFF20. Give yourself and your future family the best foundation with Fullwell's Fertility Trio for two.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of, there's one more thing that fiber does that we didn't say. And that is because it is indigestible, it arrives in your large intestine whole. And this is where we have a lot of non human cells. So, because humans can't digest fiber, we have a lot, hopefully, a lot of bacteria in our large intestine, in our colon, that helps with so many things. We need this bacteria. Okay. This is like vital to our survival. You do not want a sterile colon. That is how people die. You want this to be robust with lots of different kinds of bacteria, lots of lactobacillus, lots of really rich bacterial colonizations. And the way that you promote that and sustain that is by feeding these colonies fiber. This is what they eat. So when you are in a low fiber state, your digestive system simply cannot work optimally. You are going to miss out on a lot of the things that these microbes do for you. They actually make short chain fatty acids, they make butyrate, they really bolster your own immune system. There's so
Mental health.
much
They make
mental health, tons of
happy
serotonin.
hormones.
When they are not there or they are not functioning well, we get really sick. And this is another reason why a high fiber diet can support health and fertility in many ways, is because we need that colony to be very robust, because it's really our whole immune system. And if you are somebody who is struggling with frequent vaginal infections, endometritis, okay, was my whole bag of beans when I was trying to get pregnant with my first. Having a robust colony of bacteria in your intestine is so vital. And that was, truthfully, to speak from myself, a big part of my problem. There was a year of my life when I was working in public health and was getting very, very sick very, very frequently because of it, and had to go on antibiotics like round after round after round for months on end because I just kept getting infections and kept getting so sick. And it really wiped out a lot of things. That was what I believe the beginning of a lot of my fertility issues. I mean, yeah, of course I had endometriosis all along, so let's not, blame the whole thing on on the antibiotics, but it was a big issue for me. And I did end up landing myself back at the doctor's office with frequent vaginal infections after all of these antibiotics. And this was a huge piece to my fertility puzzle. So I can speak to this very personally. Maintaining a robust population of bacteria in your intestine is so vital to your overall fertility. And you can't grow them if you don't feed them. And this is what your gut bacteria eat, is soluble and insoluble fiber.
And one of the reasons why I think this conversation is so important, listeners, because this is an area that most of us struggle to get anywhere close to the recommended amount.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
doing what Sophia and I do day in and day out, one of the things that was the first thing we probably learned about even in college in this kind of nutrition space was how to do something called a 24-hour recall, where we
Mm-hmm.
literally just interview someone like, what did you eat for breakfast today? Is that something similar to what you normally eat? What other things do you rotate in? Did you have anything to drink after it? And we take that information, and I will oftentimes in a client call put this into chronometer.com and track what they say that they ate and see what their fiber intake is. And very often you will find people eating 10, maybe 12 grams of fiber a day, which is
Mm-hmm.
like 40% of what I want you to be eating. Or
Yeah.
maybe even less. I want 30-ish grams a day in almost all cases. And so it's not just learning what these foods are and learning why they're important. It's striving to improve in our intakes, because if you're not intentionally eating things like fruit because you're afraid of blood sugar impacts, or you're not eating very many grains because of blood sugar impacts, and you eat a lot of vegetables and meat, sometimes even a diet like that means you're not getting enough fiber.
Yeah, it's very, very true. A lot of vegetables are just, they have fiber, don't get me wrong, but it's not like huge, robust amounts. Like a cup of blackberries, girl, that is like 8 grams. You
Mhm.
are you are soaring with that. A cup of salad is like 1 gram. It's
Mhm.
really not a lot of fiber.
And so being intentional, looking for foods that you really like that are accessible to you, maybe financially or just easy for you to throw into kind of your weekly roundup. I usually like to pick two berries while I'm shopping, even if that means I'm buying it like frozen because they're expensive or don't look good. And at least one type of lentil or bean that I'm going to
Mhm.
throw like in a few different things as we eat during the week, either like a bean dip or a lentil dip that's something we're munching on or having over a salad, or I'll just use a can of black beans, drain them, and as we eat eggs throughout the week, I'll throw, like a quarter cup of black beans into the egg scramble because I'm looking for multiple opportunities where I have literally a fiber goal. And then we're eating vegetables. We're eating maybe like a quarter of our plate, a carbohydrate that I'm pushing for it to be more of a whole grain so that we're going to get some of that fiber. It's not being stripped out in the processing. Um, so, looking for opportunities, I think, is maybe a good segue into what foods are particularly really high in fiber. Like you just brought up blackberries. What are some favorite foods that maybe surprise people that are really high in fiber or could be
Yeah.
easy to implement because they're easy to access?
Totally. Well, you hit the nail on the head right there with beans. I mean, there's a reason that people say, I don't care a hill of beans about that, or she's not worth a bag of beans to me. Beans are cheap. They are cheap. And they are resilient and robust. Buying
Mhm.
dried beans, that bag of beans lasts years to decades in your pantry. That
Mhm.
can of beans, again, very long lasting. So you can buy these things and stock your pantry. It's not as challenging as like raspberries, right? Raspberries are
Mhm.
another super heavy hitter when it comes to fiber. Great amounts of fiber in raspberries, but you look at them in the morning and then look at them 3 hours later and they're fuzzy and covered in mold.
I
They
know.
are very easy to rot.
Mhm.
And also they're just sort of more fragile of a fruit where the
Mhm.
season is short and otherwise, you're getting them picked when they're still white and then shipped in from Nicaragua or wherever, or sprayed for days. And you can get them frozen too, which is just as good, honestly, just as good
Mhm.
when it comes to fiber. But much more expensive as well. Berries are like the crown jewel in the food expense world, whereas
Mhm.
beans are like totally bottom of the barrel. So that's a really great place to find a lot of fiber. Another one that might surprise you is artichoke hearts.
Mhm.
Those are actually super rich in fiber. And everybody loves a spinach artichoke dip, but you
Mhm.
can also put artichoke hearts in salad. You can sort of puree it and mix it into soups. They
Mhm.
are
I
very, you can
chop it up
even,
like onions and put it in my tomato sauce, like pasta sauce.
mhm, that's another great one. You can
Mhm.
hide it in things very easily, or you can eat spinach artichoke chip because that
Mhm.
is delicious with chips and cucumber rounds.
Mhm.
Bell
Yeah.
pepper, delish. So this is another place, and again, you buy them canned. I've never seen a fresh artichoke heart on the shelf. I've seen fresh artichokes,
Mhm.
but
Those can be so expensive.
they can be, well, and they're just enormous. And then you cook them,
You
and you're
gotta know
eating
how to
like
cook them.
half a bite for
Mhm.
each leaf, and then you have like a mountain of trash. It is.
And you have to hear
I
people eat it. That's my least favorite thing is
Yeah, they're
watching people.
scraping your teeth,
Oh,
scraping your
yeah.
teeth along the artichoke. I get a produce box each week, listeners, and they're always stuffing it full of artichokes.
That
And
would
it
make
it
my
it
family so happy.
You'd think,
BJ
but
and
it's
my
like
dad. Oh,
this box is like this big, right? And
oh,
then they've got this artichoke with the stem this long and it's like this big. It's taking up a huge amount of the space. Whereas I would rather have other things.
right.
And especially like with kids, like my kids aren't going to eat artichoke leaves like that. Get out of
Mm-hmm.
here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to get to the heart, you have to like hack at it like a machete.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the point being, you can buy jarred or canned or frozen artichoke hearts, and
Mm-hmm.
one whole heart, usually they're quartered when you like buy them in a can or frozen, but a whole artichoke heart. So let's say you did my nightmare, which has
Mm-hmm.
got this enormous artichoke and like cut it up and just ate the heart. There's like 8 to 10 grams of fiber in one whole artichoke heart. So you can have that along with your meal and you hit a third of your goal in one meal. That's not
Mm-hmm.
even counting all the snacks and meals you were having earlier in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really easy place to get it. Caitlin mentioned earlier avocado, really, really high in fiber.
Yeah, I think that's one that usually surprises people. They're
Yeah,
like,
that's sort
"Isn't
of a
it high in
sleeper.
fat?" And you're like,
And it
"Yeah,
is.
it is." It's a kind
But
of a perfect food in that way.
yeah,
Um,
it is great. A lot of because like I said before, the fat triggers a release from your
mhm,
gallbladder, and then the fiber is what soaks it up, and you're getting a 2 for 1 in the avocado.
mhm.
Apples are another really good one with the skin on.
Pears,
Pears,
any
peaches,
of the
plums.
berries. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that the ones that surprise people are what they thought was high in
That
fiber
was what I was about to say.
is oats.
Raisin Bran, we're
Yeah,
talking about you again.
yeah. Like
Yeah, people.
one cup of oats has 4 grams of fiber in it. One whole cup. Do you know how much carbohydrate you're going to eat in one cup of
That's
oats?
like
Never mind
200 grams. That's a lot of
so
carbs.
much. Never mind the sugar you're going to put in it to make it palatable and make
Yeah,
you
because
actually
who's just
like
eating
it.
plain oats?
Yeah, cows.
Horses. So yeah, really, I mean, a lot of us were like, "Oh, heart healthy fiber, Quaker oats, heart healthy meal, Cheerios, heart healthy meal, Raisin Bran, lots of fiber." We were sold that these
Yeah.
foods are
Yeah.
really high in
Well,
fiber,
part of
and
why they're saying it's heart healthy isn't even just that supposedly they're high in fiber, it's that they have no fat in them. And so they have no cholesterol. And so you're not eating cholesterol. So that has to be good for your heart. But we've kind of debunked that in the last 5 years of science, maybe 10
yeah.
years of science. So
The American Heart Association, guys, step it up. We've had only more heart attacks and heart problems since you guys came into being. So I don't know what the purpose is here.
So it's not that you can't eat oats or you shouldn't eat brown rice or quinoa or bulgur
No, no,
or
no, no, no,
even
no. We're
whole wheat.
certainly not telling you to avoid these foods. Just consider them what they are, a rich source of carbohydrate with
Right.
some fiber.
With some
They're
fiber.
they're certain,
Some.
and it
Very much.
all adds up. It really does. So I guess if you were having like Raisin Bran instead of like a Starbucks croissant in the morning, there you go. You just had more fiber than you would have. So it's not bad. But these things were often touted as like the holy grail of fiber. And this is often like the first thing that comes to mind when someone talks about fiber. And there's just truthfully not a lot of great nutrition in these grain sources. Eat grains. We were made to eat grains, whole, complete grains. Yes, indeedy. They were not meant to be the largest majority of what's on our plate. And that was just one sort of caveat I wanted to add to something you said earlier in this episode, Caitlin, when you were like, if you're eating this much fiber, you're not going to really be overeating carbs. And I challenge that a little bit because of this misconception that people have about fiber. And so sometimes they just go so hard on like oats and cereals and things of that nature, thinking, well, I need to get my fiber. I need to get my fiber. And then inadvertently, they are just having massive amounts of carbs and sugar
Yeah. But
because
like
they're reaching for those foods.
how much are you eating of that though to get to 30 grams of fiber? Like you're gonna be so overeating and so full generally if
Yeah.
you're getting there. But you're not wrong. There are a lot of people in America that eat lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of carbohydrate in a day. 200 grams, 500 grams. And they're getting still not even like 30 grams of fiber because it's so ultra processed and we've stripped so much of the fiber away from it. Um, but
It's
like,
really easy to do. I mean, sugar is delicious. Let's be real. There's a reason we all love it. Who doesn't love sugar? Get out of here. It's great. Brownies, ice cream, candy, jellies, and jams. There's something on that list that you like, and I know it because this is just the way human brains are wired. You're not wrong for liking these things or wanting to eat these things. They're just made in nature. Where you find sugar, you find fiber
mhm,
almost always.
mhm.
Like what we were saying, the
Or you
oranges,
have
the
to work for
berries.
it. Like you in order to get wheat that's gonna be more carb than it is necessarily gonna be fiber, even in a whole wheat something, you have to, like, grow it, harvest it, thresh it, grind it, knead it, bake it, but we
Pop
aren't
it,
doing that.
twist it, pass it.
We're not doing that. Like, even in your example earlier, eat 5 oranges versus juice it and drink it. Well, it used to be you had an orange tree that you walked to and then you picked it, right?
Mhm.
Like, we have taken so much of the effort out of making food edible
Oh,
that
that's so true.
it's like there isn't a commensurate amount of labor that you're then like restoring the sugar it took out of your arms to knead that bread that you then baked. It's just things aren't what they used to be. I
They are.
literally sat in a doctor's appointment with my primary care last week, and he said, look around at church this weekend. Like all the older people in your church tend to be like slightly obese or overweight. He's like, what do you think that is? It's not like nobody's eating well. It's genetics. I was like, no, it's not. If you
It's
walked into a church
environmental.
if you walked into a church 100 years ago, it was a very different story. Part of it is our modern food and how overly processed it is and how easy it is to overconsume. But my point earlier, especially with that, like if you're eating 30 grams of fiber, pair that 30 grams of fiber with 120 grams of protein. It's going to be hard to chew all that
Yeah,
steak
you're gonna be full.
and eat all that like salad with carrots and walnuts and, like the things that you're really doing to get a whole food based, high protein, fiber rich diet, it's going to be hard to overconsume. And
Mhm.
isn't that exactly what you and I see in so many clients where it's like, well, I sit down and I could eat a whole bag, like a whole 10-ounce bag of Doritos in one sitting. It's like, well, you don't do that though with like the same amount of carbs and carrots. You're not going to
Mhm.
eat 3 pounds of carrots in one sitting. You couldn't chew that much. Your mouth and your head would hurt. Like,
Yeah.
so we've just made it too easy. And so we need to reel it back. And in some ways, we're going to look for foods like artichokes and blackberries and raspberries and avocados and chia seeds. But in other ways, we need to also just be honest and go, maybe I need to work a little bit harder before I sit down and eat a plate of pasta. Or after I eat it, maybe I need to go for a walk too. It's
Mhm.
it's not just like increasing fiber,
Yeah.
kind of like the holistic answer to our modern ultra processed fiberless food that we're being told isn't the problem. It's part of the problem.
Yeah, it definitely is part of the problem. And we could do an episode on here about, we've been planning it about walking,
Mhm,
because it is again such a huge important piece of this.
mhm,
Walking and fiber go hand in hand because you've got to move all of this bulk through your
mhm,
intestinal system, and like Caitlin said, we aren't this is very, very recent in human history have we had running water in our houses where you just turn on a tap and as much as you want comes pouring out. It used to be like, you want water? Get your
Go to the
bucket and
well.
go
Yeah.
walking,
Mhm,
and you got to fill it up and then carry it back home. a weighted walk on the way back, nonetheless,
Mm-hmm.
not just a walk. It used to just be, we were agrarian. We were on our feet outside, walking around, farming all the time. Very few people had professions that weren't agrarian. This is what
And
we
so
all
what's
did.
happening when you walk
What's happening when you walk?
in your
Great.
intestines with the fiber?
It gets your intestines moving. It actually stimulates your intestinal muscles. This is how these things are meant to work. If you are sitting still, or even biking, or even swimming, it's not going to do the same thing for your intestinal health as actually walking. And I'm not saying it's not good for you. If you've got a busted ankle, if you blew out your knee, if you're,
Mhm. Go
burned
do
the
it.
bottom of your
Yeah.
foot stepping on some coals at the beach, yes, swimming, biking, this is certainly better than flopping on the couch all day, sitting at your computer all day, sitting at the steering wheel all day. But it's not going to do the same thing for you as actually getting out there and walking. Your digestive system is made for lots of walking
Mm-hmm.
steps, that bipedal movement, the shifting of your pelvis, the movement back and forth of your hips through your, and that movement goes into your intestines, into your back, through your digestive system. That really is a key component of all this fiber, not just like sitting, fermenting, making you constipated, making you fart like you wouldn't believe.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be a lot of walking involved and a lot of hydration involved. So
Okay.
if you, yeah,
Let's talk then about fiber mistakes because I feel like
fiber flubs, if you will, fiber F
so
ups,
good.
fiber follies.
Okay, let's just go back and forth till we run out of ideas. My first idea is don't listen to this and then just go eat 30 grams of fiber if you've been eating 7 grams of fiber every day. If you
Yeah.
increase your fiber too fast, you will end up constipated. You will. You have to kind of like help your digestive tract get used to the fact that you haven't been eating it. And if all of a sudden you start eating all this fiber and you haven't been, what do you think that those gut microbes we were talking about feeding are going to do when all of a sudden you give them like 4 times the amount of food than they're used to? You're going to be one gassy, bloaty, unhappy girl.
Yeah. And
So,
no one's going to want to sit with you in your little cloud. They'll be, you'd be like Pigpen from Charlie Brown.
okay, don't increase it too quickly.
Yeah. I would say a good gauge after you listen to this episode, sit down with my Fitness Pal or Chronometer or whatever app you use, and just look at, okay, what did I realistically eat in the past 24 hours fiber wise? And don't do, well, yesterday wasn't a typical day for me because, no, it was a typical day for you. Let's be real. That was your typical day. Okay. Just because you ate Sour Patch Kids and went through the drive through, don't act like you don't do that, because you do, because you did. So look at what happened. look at use, because this is what people always say every time I'm like, let's talk about Jay. Well, I can't go off of yesterday because like, but how many yesterdays do you have? This is your real life. Get honest about where you are. You're not trying to impress anybody. You're trying to not hurt yourself. So look
I'm
realistically
trying to
at
have a
what you're
baby.
doing. You're trying to have a baby for real. So look realistically at what you ate in the past 24 hours and how much fiber was that. I
Mm-hmm.
would not recommend doing any more than maybe like a 75% increase on that. I wouldn't even say double it.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how small the number is.
I don't know. Like,
If you're at 3 grams, you could get to 6 grams, you'd probably be all right. But if you're at 8 grams and you want to get to 20 grams, that's going to hurt.
um, I would even say, like, you don't have to go crazy. Like, okay, and now all I do is log my food to see how much
No,
fiber
no,
I
no, no.
have.
No.
Like, pick one of these foods we talked about and say, okay, I'm gonna add berries to my everyday for the next week, and then the next week say, okay, I'm gonna buy 3 avocados and eat like a third of an avocado every day in addition to my berries, and just start experimenting with a little bit more. But yeah, not increasing too quickly. I'd say another flub dub is not hydrating.
Yes. Like we said with the soluble fiber, it needs to soak up that bulk. And this is something people get so weird about online. Honestly, anytime I make a post that involves chia seeds, there people are like, you're going to kill people with chia seeds because they're going to make like a blockage in their intestines. You need to let them soak for at least 24 hours before you eat them. And that's not true at all. You can have chia seed granola. You can have chia seeds on your salad. You can mix them into your peanut butter on your toast. As long as you are drinking water at some point in your life after consuming these chia seeds, they are not going to hurt you. So don't worry so much about the soluble and when you're having the water and everything like
Just
that. But
drink
just
water.
know
Yeah.
you need to be hydrating. Okay.
Hmm.
So take a realistic view about how much actual hydrating beverages you are consuming in a day and try to sort of match that up with your fiber. If you're increasing fiber, you need to increase hydration. And that is the truth because otherwise you're going to end up blocked up, feeling really bad. Here's a funny story I'm going to tell about one of my cousins. There's no way he's listening to this, so he doesn't care. And he was like 6 years old at the time. So my cousin Hira, his mom, got really into like home baking and to the point where she was like milling her own flour. And so she would like mill, get whole wheat berries and like grind them up and make flour and make hamburger buns, like whatever it was they were eating, she would bake. And her son was like, Mom, I cannot eat these hamburger buns you make. They make me sick. And she was like, What do you mean? And he's like, Every time I eat them, the next day I have to poop. And if I don't go, my tummy will hurt the whole day. And she's like, Well, yeah, buddy. Like if you try to hold in a poop all day, it's going to hurt. Like, but he just was such a, like all he wanted to eat was like cheese and like he just didn't really want to eat any like vegetables or fruits or anything. He's a 6-year-old boy. What do you want from him? But so
Is he a
that was
chef
just
now? And did I meet him in New Orleans?
no, that was my other cousin. No, no, no. This
Is he a
cousin's like,
short,
oh,
redheaded rapper?
who's somehow Italian at the same time. No, he's not.
Okay.
This is a different cousin that lives in a different part of the country. I guess a second cousin because he's my cousin's son.
Okay.
But anyway, this is just an example of if you're not used to eating fiber and then you start eating it, you will notice you have to poop or you need to fart or there's going to be more going on down there and that's good and normal and there is an adjustment period. Keep that in mind. If you're listening to this episode on an airplane, don't go eat a bowl of black beans on your layover and expect to have a happy second leg of your journey. This is not going to work. You need to be mindful of increasing your fiber rather gradually. And the other thing I would add pitfall is not chewing. This can go two different directions. Okay. Number one is just washing down your food so you're not really chewing, like you have to have a drink at every meal because you chew twice and then wash it down with water. You want to actually chew your food, especially these high fiber foods, corn, carrots, apples, beans, like these things need to be chewed. The other piece of this is when fiber is so pulverized that it no longer even resembles fiber, it's really not going to do the same things to protect your gastric motility and your blood sugar. So if you are taking one of those like clear Benefiber supplements, that's really not going to do all the same things that we're talking about here, or even fiber that's in your maybe like Bonza pasta or your like lentil powdered cracker and things like that. It's not going to, it's been so like
Ground.
pulverized. It's like, I think it's like ground up so tiny that it doesn't really do the same things that it did when it was in a more whole state. So you want fiber that you're chewing more or less. I mean, not talking about like if you put raspberries in a smoothie, like the fiber's still going to be there, but I'm talking about like really high processed fiber foods like noodles, crackers, breads, things like that, that maybe once were made out of something that's high fiber and now it's been like so ground up that it's just not going to really do the same things anymore. You need to be actually chewing your food.
That's interesting. I hadn't really thought about that.
I learned that from a like blood sugar study, just looking at like
Hmm.
foods that impact blood sugar because supposedly like the fiber in this pasta, this cracker, this whatever is going to slow down the amount of carb that's in it. It just not seen in data like as robustly as if you ate the lentil, like the lentil
Itself. Well, yeah.
flour
Well, yeah. That
doesn't do
makes
the same
sense.
thing.
I guess, yeah, I'm just thinking about it. It's like a Bonza, for instance,
Hmm.
which, by the way, Bonza, approach me. I will take your money and sponsor things on Instagram for you. Like, it's not even only the fiber, it's higher in protein typically too. So
And
there's
that's a big piece of it. It all works
it,
together, but
right.
just a message to keep in mind
Yeah.
that if you're trying to have fiber for all these things that we just mentioned, and it's this like totally pulverized powdered
Don't
thing
eat
now,
only that. Eat the real
yeah,
foods
that's
too. Mhm.
exactly.
Mhm.
That's the message. That's the
Mhm.
message. But yeah, you want fiber that you chew.
And I think that goes to another flub is don't just rely on the supplements. I mean, I think you've heard that through this whole episode of the benefits of the whole foods and the this and the that, but like just like in vitamins and things that you take as a supplement, surely there's a nice kind of safety factor in having a little bit if you're not doing a great job in doing it in your diet. But we'd rather you eat a well balanced, varied diet where you're getting vitamins and minerals and these things. Um, so it's not to say you couldn't supplement, but I wouldn't
No, and
overly
I
rely on
do, in
them.
fact, sometimes with
Yeah.
people like Caitlin, you and I have talked about this many times. I even made an Instagram post
Mhm.
about a
Like a
fiber
home, yeah,
drink that I
like a
do
homemade
sometimes.
one. Yeah. You don't
Mhm.
necessarily need
Where
to.
it's just ground seeds and psyllium husk basically
Mhm.
together.
Oat bran. And
Mhm.
that's where, so like the bran of something is gonna be an insoluble fiber, something that's not absorbing water typically, and gonna add bulk to stool. And so getting like a oat bran, a psyllium husk, so again, the outside of something, then taking maybe like a flaxseed or a chia
Mhm.
seed, um, you're getting variety in the type of fiber and getting that in. But again, that's like we're looking at a more of a food-based component versus just like taking a Metamucil. I think let's wrap up this episode with an anonymous friend's text thread. Anonymous friend to Sophia and I. All right, friends, what are we doing for better poops? Fiber
Mhm.
supplements, flax, chia? I'm already hydrating well and eating veggies, not processed stuff, etc. Probably could lock it in a little better since the start of school, that I know that stuff. I need a little extra help. So I just texted back flow of consciousness, walks, magnesium citrate. Citrate's going to bring extra water into your large intestine and help move things along if perhaps maybe you increased your fiber too much too quickly. And then I said, don't increase fiber quickly or it'll get worse. Slow increases. And
Mhm.
then Sophia wrote, I agree with Caitlin. Warm cinnamon and ginger tea can help things move. She's like, was literally making a magnesium drink, but I picked up my phone. I did bike ride and we'll work on slowly increasing fiber. Thanks, ladies. And I was like, biking won't do the same as walking. I didn't mean
Yeah,
to
I mean,
tread
biking
like
will do
that.
something. I mean, it's
It's not the
like
same.
it's just not going to be the same. Hey, podcast listener, we are taking a break from this episode to talk about our sponsor for this season, and that is, of course, TempDrop. It has been no secret on this podcast for many years that Caitlin and I love TempDrop, specifically because it measures your basal body temperature while you are still sleeping. This is so key to anybody who is one, like me, and forgets to take their temperature in the morning, and two, who wakes up at inconsistent times. When you are manually using a basal body temperature thermometer, like one that you'd find at the drugstore or buy online, you have to take your temperature at the exact same time every morning. This is great if you have a really predictable schedule and you always know what you're up to. You wake up at the same time every day without fail. This is not great for those of us who maybe are trying for a second or a third baby and are already waking up in the night with our existing children. And so when exactly was our temperature the lowest and which one are we counting as our wake up? This is also not great if you are a shift worker or if your schedule shifts even slightly. I'm talking about a 15-minute difference in when you wake up is going to skew your basal body temperature. That is why we love the temp drop on this podcast. It is such an easy and simple way to automate your fertility awareness method, regardless of your unique journey. It is great for if you have a irregular cycle, like if you have PCOS or you're recovering from hypothalamic amenorrhea and you want to know when and if you're ovulating at all and you don't have like a super consistent chart to start with. And it is great for anybody who just wants one less thing to think about. Temp Drop does not rely on your memory. It relies on science-backed data that is always improving and always growing and is truly the highest quality. TempDrop is committed to supporting individuals with connecting with their bodies. They support to make things more accessible rather than replacing existing methods. TempDrop is here to make what you're already doing easier. So if you want to try out TempDrop and sort of automate your fertility awareness temperature taking, use code FFF15 at checkout at tempdrop.com. Our bodies are made for a lot of walking. It's just the way that our bodies are made. They're made for a lot of fiber. They're made for a lot of protein. They're made for a lot of walking. This is what a human body is supposed to be doing. It's also made for a lot of sleeping. It's made for a lot of connection, a lot of love, a lot of physical touch. And this is just the way that our bodies are made to be. So if you have a problem with that, take it up with the good Lord, the potter of the vessel, and say, why hast thou made me thus? Because this is just a part of living in a human body and being optimally fertile. It requires these things. So Caitlin and I, we didn't come up with this. We're just telling you. And so if there's one thing to take away from this, it's that you do need to eat a lot of plants that are high in fiber.
Don't fart on the messenger.
Don't fart the messenger.
All right. Yeah, girl.
You've heard of the Spartan kick where he kicked the messenger. Have you heard of the fartin kick?
So what is your girl?
Oh, I have so many, but the one that I'm thinking of right now, y'all, is I got a screaming deal on a brand new car. It's 10 years old, but it's new to me. And it is, listeners, this is such a huge moment. I'm announcing this. It is a Toyota Sienna.
A mom
and
van.
For those of you who don't know, that is the ultimate mom van. And just how hard I have worked to get to the place in life when I need a mom van. This is just such a
Hallelujah. Girl. Nothing better than a mom van.
I've got a third baby coming and you just can't fit 3 car seats in my mid-size sedan. It just doesn't really work. I mean, you could, but it's a challenge and people are squished and it's hard to get people in and out. But there we go. And girl. Not only am I now living a life where I finally need the mom van, thanks to hard work and miracles, but I also got a really, really good deal on it. I basically told my husband's best friend, he used to be a mechanic up in like far Northern California before he joined the Navy. And then he moved back up there to be with family for a while. And he's since moved on with his life and isn't living there anymore. But so he's still got buddies that are like brokers and going to auctions and fixing stuff up and whatever. And so I told him early on in this pregnancy, like, hey, keep your ear to the ground if you hear of a Toyota Sienna for sale, because I would love one. And he was like, oh man, like as soon as they had their second kid, which was also a product of hard work and miracles, they went for miracles. Oh my God, don't. My kids have been watching Prince of Egypt every freaking day.
That's Bonnie's favorite movie right now.
Is it? Oh my gosh, her and Jenny and Natalie would vibe so hard. Oh, I love it. So anyway, we got this van. We got a awesome deal We had it checked out in every way by 2 different mechanics that we super, super trust. I mean, down to the buttons that go the windows and the
Mhm.
way the seats move and just
What
everything
color is it?
isn't. It's
Come on,
blue.
tell me the real details I care about.
Yeah, that part I don't care as much, but it is blue. And it's just this is the I've never had a car this new and this nice. My previous car is a 2010. Now I've got a 2015,
Amazing.
and it is just all the things you could want in a mom van. Like, it has vents on all 3 rows, so nobody's like freezing in the front and roasting in the back. You can turn on your Prince of Egypt soundtrack just in the back, versus my car right now where I have to be like blasting out my eardrums with
There
wheels on.
can be miracles. All right.
Shira Adonai.
That's my favorite part, actually. I'm like, I love Adonai. Oh,
Me too. It is
they start like dancing
wonderful.
in their Hebrew circles. This is good. Oh, that's so funny that we have that going on.
That's what happens when you look at your life through heaven's eyes, you know? Look at your life.
I'm sorry, listeners. You'll understand.
Okay, you guys, if you haven't watched Prince of Egypt, though, it is an absolute banger. It is, first of all, Patrick Stewart, Val Kilmer, Sandra Bullock,
Oh, really?
Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, I blew Bonnie's mind when I put Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey's version of There Can Be Miracles
Oh,
on the
that's
other day. Oh, man, so
oh,
good.
or the Boys to Men. I will get there. Oh my gosh, I put that on my labor soundtrack. I'm not even kidding you. I did that the other day after watching Prince of Egypt. But the opening scene with that song, like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, deliver us! It is so powerful. Great movie, great watch. Go watch it today. Go eat fiber today. But that's girl.
Nobody's listening to us anymore.
First of all, not only are we no longer slaves,
We're driving
but
Siennas,
we're driving Siennas here,
listening
people.
to Oh, man, so good. Okay. My girl, I don't know, maybe I just spent like the most lazy morning, lazy in like a productive way where what Sophia and I are
What the hell
leaving.
does that mean?
No, I know. Well, I have a point. Sophia and I are leaving to go hang out together this weekend. And I was like, okay, I'll make you guys food for while I'm gone. And BJ was like, I don't care if you make us dinners. You need to stock the breakfast stuff. You haven't done that in a while. I was like, okay. And then yesterday at church, I saw a new friend that has a new 2-week-old baby. And I was like, what can I bring you? Can I bring you dinner? She's like, people are bringing dinner every night this week. I was like, okay, girl, I got you. I got to prep out some breakfast stuff. I'll make you breakfast stuff. That's even better because mornings with new babies are hard if you haven't slept. Breakfast burritos, breakfast sandwiches. Like, what do you want? And so today I was like, I'm going to be such a homemaker and I'm going to make homemade tortillas for our homemade breakfast burritos. Then, like, halfway through, I was like, why am I doing this?
Tortillas are a bitch.
They're a lot of work.
They are never thin enough unless you have a tortilla press. It's just never. It's going to be like a chapati or like a pita. It doesn't ever get thin enough, in
Man,
my
I got them
opinion.
so thin. They
Well,
were
you're a better roller
so
than I.
good, but I spent like 3 hours making 20 breakfast burritos. And halfway through, I like all of a sudden was like, why am I doing this? This is a silly waste of my time. I should have just bought tortillas. And then I stopped and I was like, God, I'm praying for these new babies. This new baby, I'm praying for my husband who's primarily going to eat these at our house. Like, and I'm actually enjoying the process. Like, why am I struggling in my head that this shouldn't take 3 hours of my time? I have 3 hours and I'm blessed to do this. And it was actually like incredibly therapeutic to like roll out 20 different tortillas. So anyway, my girl was that while Sophia texted me like, hey, I'm scarfing down some food and I'll be on the call in 5 minutes. And I was like, oh, I didn't even remember you were doing that today. I was writing little verses on my little parchment wrapped burritos. And it just made my heart so happy that every morning he or this mommy is going to get one of these out and probably microwave it and be blessed by a verse and like literally eat the love that I put into them. And
Well, it's just, you're so extra in the sweetest way.
it's like, it just made my heart happy also that I was like I had that moment of struggle and then realized like that what you're doing is good. Don't get lost in the rat race that is our culture. Enjoy a slow morning cooking for people you love. And this is like a new person that I love and I want her to know I love her. And how amazed is she going to be when she's like, "Oh my god, that was the best breakfast burrito of my life." Because I had one this morning. They were very, very fibery good.
I don't doubt it for a moment.
Yeah. So yeah, girl.
Well, yeah, girl. Good. Yeah, girl to you. All right, listener, if you like this episode, please rate, review, subscribe, leave us a comment, leave us a rating. We love you and we're happy you're listening. Happy Fiber Day. We'll see you next week.
Bye.